of round one. Oh, Markeith is here as well. Sorry, I didn't mean to miss out on that. The big fella Keith is down in South Florida. But we begin in Boston, where the Celtics continue to ship off parts. They have agreed to trade Kristaps Porzingis to Atlanta, part of a 3-team deal with Brooklyn. The Celtics get George Niang and a second-round pick. But much more important than that, they get significant salary relief. This is all about dumping money. 10 days ago, the Boston Celtics were projected to pay $540 million in salary and luxury tax. According to our Bobby Marks, who has a calculator, with this Porzingis trade and the Drew Holiday trade they made 2 days ago, the Celtics have saved $260 million and will have a combined bill under $300 million. All of those are things that are important to the teams and very uninteresting to basketball fans. They don't want to hear about the money. They want to hear about the teams. We knew that Holiday was going to get traded. You told me that Porzingis was going to get traded. The question is, are they done?
So this is one of the things that could define today in the NBA. Now that they've made these deals, they are under the second apron. If that is their goal, congratulations. But they are still listening. And this is where the rest of the league is watching. They are listening on Jaylen Brown. They are listening on Derek White. I would be surprised at this point if they move them, but today is draft day. There are teams in the top 10 that would very much like to get their hands on one of these players. Is there an opportunity for the Celtics to move in and get a player in the draft that they think that they could reform their team around when Jason Tatum comes back? My answer is maybe. Otherwise, they wouldn't be listening. So I think Jaylen Brown is staying put. I think Derek White is staying put, but I can't rule out stuff that might happen by the end of today.
Well, that brings me to my Uncle Seth, because we know Cooper Flagg is off limits. He's not going anywhere, except Dallas, where he will get drafted tonight. Is there, in your opinion, another player in this draft that would be, you think has a chance to be so good that it would make sense for the Celtics to include Jaylen Brown in a package to move up?
If there's one player, it would be Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper at 6'6". You're talking about a guy terrific in ball screens, big physical guard, gets downhill. Reminds me of Cade Cunningham. His physicality, his toughness, his ability to finish around the basket, but more importantly, his ability to make game easy for other people. This guy's got size, strength. He's got a genetics that's all about championships. He has a toughness about him, extremely coachable. Got to shoot a little bit better, but I think that Dylan Harper is a guy that you can say, I would not move off from Brown and White. I wouldn't, because I think those guys are winning players that understand the culture of the Celtics. But if you were going to move on, you need to bring in a guy that understands what it takes to win. And his pedigree says championship pedigree.
It is a time of just total upheaval in Boston. The franchise has been sold. The superstar is out for the year, or for all of next year, we presume, with the torn Achilles. So we're really in a total turnover here. So, Markeith, I'll just ask you this. If at some point today you receive an alert on your phone that says the Boston Celtics have traded Jaylen Brown, what will be the first thoughts that go through your mind?
I would be in awe, right? Because this is a guy that won Finals MVP last year. This is a guy that just signed a $300 million contract, and you put so much into this guy, right, to be a Boston Celtic, right? And just by Tatum getting injured, I don't really see the process of moving him around, right? You just let him get better, like I've been saying. You know, let him grow into a 1A type of player. Let him have the year where he's actually the go-to guy and the team is about him, right? And then the pieces that you bring in, let them pieces mold to be ready when Tatum has come back, because you get a good look at, you know, all the pieces that you bring in, because nobody's most likely going to be under contract the next year, the following year.
Right. There's so much of this is about the money, right? And that's the big unknown. It's new ownership coming in. So there's that kind of overturning, or whatever the word I'm looking for is. So we don't really know. You said it yourself. Did they just want to get under this second apron, which are now the two nastiest words in all of basketball? If so, then they don't have an issue. But if they really want to restart this whole thing, this could be interesting.
They also could make other moves to get under the luxury tax altogether. And it's not just necessarily about saving money, although that's what is being accomplished. If they get out of the luxury tax, then they restart the clock on the repeater tax. And I hate talking about all this stuff, but this, this is what's driving these moves.
Right.
I mean, the second apron needs a new name. I am proposing Satan's Jail. I think we should start calling it Satan's Jail. If you have something else, it feels different. If you say the Celtics are in Satan's Jail, it sounds like, wow, they really got to trade Kristaps Porzingis. So you get out of Satan's Jail, and now you got to question, do they want to stay out of Satan's jail? Because if you have two players on your roster that make $300 million contracts, which is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, can you field a competitive championship-level team in 2026? I don't know if the answer to that is yes, because of the way the league is changing.
I just don't understand. If you're going to have Tatum and Brown and eventually they're going to be healthy together, you know you've competed for an NBA championship with those two guys. They're only going to get better. I mean, that's just the way it is. You need to say, look at it, say, all right, we're going to take our lumps right now, but that's short term. Where is the big picture? And as a guy that roster construction is so important, whether it's in college or in NBA, you're putting together a roster. If you can have those two guys as the face of your organization, it's easier to find guys to fit around him than to eliminate one guy that has already won an NBA championship and is a matchup problem and has learned to play with another star player.
And I think you're right, and that's why I think they don't do it. But I would be inaccurate if I said it wasn't something that was being discussed in the league.
Harper is good, though.
Let me tell you who is in Satan's jail right now. The fans of the Denver Nuggets. The Celtics are not the only recent champion being impacted by Satan's jail. Denver Nuggets team president Josh Kroenke brought up a scenario where the Nuggets might trade Nikola Jokic. He did this unprompted yesterday in a press conference. We present I'm Sorry, What?
For us as an organization, going into that second apron is not necessarily something that we're scared of. I think that there are rules around it that we needed to be very careful of with our injury history. The wrong person gets injured and very quickly you're into a scenario where that I never want to have to contemplate, and that's trade number 15. And so, we're very conscious of that pushing forward.
What? I mean, let the record show. No one asked him about the possibility of trading Nikola Jokic. He just went there by himself, which is one of the really astonishing things that has happened recently. I found myself digging deeply into this to say, did someone bring up, listen, if there was any scenario on planet Earth, if like we're being invaded from aliens from Mars, might you consider trailing Nikola Jokic? No one
even is an alien from Mars.
That's what I mean. No one even asked him that question. What the actual heck was that?
And thus ended Josh Kroenke's last media availability for the foreseeable future. And again,